Well, hey there, 4C's youth. Wow, my glasses are so reflecty. Jeez, so bright. Well, hey, 4C's youth. Welcome to my fun, messy office. My name is Brian, and I'm one of the youth workers on staff here. And we're gonna jump into Talk Tuesday here. I hope you're all doing well. Yeah, what a crazy time. Let's jump in. Last week, Claire talked about the unknown. If you missed it, go check it out. It's on the Instagram TV from last week. It's great. She read from Matthew 14, and she talked about Jesus walking on the water, which is just such an amazing story. So if you need to pause this week's Talk Tuesday, click on back to last week's, watch Claire's, and then jump on back here. But this week I'm going to jump into another crazy Jesus story. This one is another one that has water and boats and surprise disciples. Crazy. Well, this one comes from Matthew 8, so go ahead and grab your Bible. It's a pretty short story. I'll read it, but if you need to, and what you should do is pause. Click the little pause button, go grab a Bible, come on back, I'll be here waiting. Okay, I won't wait that long, but go grab your Bible. We're going to read from Matthew 8 this week, so I'll read it. If you need to pause it, go grab a Bible, that's great. This is Matthew 8, 23 through 27. And this is the story of Jesus calming the storm. So it says, Then he got into the boat, and his disciples followed him. Without warning, a furious storm came upon the lake, so that the waves swept over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping. Jesus was sleeping. That's crazy. The disciples went and woke him, saying, "Lord, save us, we're going to drown." He replied, "You of little faith, why are you so afraid?" Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. He rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. The men were amazed and asked, "What kind of man is this? Even the winds and waves obey him." Man, I love that story. I bet you've had moments, potentially in the last 2 weeks, where you felt like the disciples in this boat, overcome by storms. The waters were dumping into the boat, scared, terrified, helpless. I know I've had plenty of those moments in the last couple months, and even over my life, I've had so many moments like that where I thought, man, Jesus, I need you. My storm is crashing upon my boat. What am I going to do? I know last week, Claire made a point that I just love. Claire made a point that Jesus is with you. That's my first point here as well, is that Jesus is with you. When you read this story, the disciples are in the boat and the storm rages, but Jesus is there. He's sleeping, but he's there. And he's just a few steps away from them. They just have to go to him on the boat. Have you guys ever been in a big storm? One time, some friends and I were camping, and we got hit by a pretty big storm. The wind came in, and it was crazy. It was raging. It was terrifying. We were in this cheap old tent, and the tent poles literally began to bend down and flatten as we were in the tent. It was terrifying. We had to lay down on our backs and hold the tent poles up with our legs so the tent didn't crash down on us. It was a terrifying moment when we were inside this tent, when the winds were beating against us. You know what happened? The wind stopped. And we woke up the next morning, and the wind had gone. And something so huge and terrifying the night before turned out to be something that was not that scary in reality. So the disciples were terrified, just like I had been in that moment. The disciples were running around this boat, probably screaming. They said, "We are going to drown," because that's true. Storms are scary because they carry power. They do have power. These disciples, if Jesus hadn't calmed the storm and the waters had washed the boat down and potentially knocked them overboard, they could have drowned and died. So I want to be real with you here. Storms are scary And Jesus doesn't say don't be afraid of these storms, because they are scary. They carry power. They can hurt you. There are real dangers in life, and it's okay to be afraid of those. But we need to remember that just like Jesus was in the boat with the disciples, Jesus is with you in your storms. Whatever storm that comes at you, Jesus is with you. Just like he was in the boat with the disciples, he's in your boat as you navigate the storms of your life. Whatever those storms look like, even when the storms are raging and it feels like life won't go on, Jesus is there with you. What I think is interesting, if you read on after this story, if you read on through onto verse 28, you'll see that the heading of the next story is that this is Jesus healing 2 demon-possessed men. And that's interesting to me, that as Jesus calms a storm, before this, he says, let's get into the boat, let's go to another side, and a storm comes. And Jesus continues on, and he gets to the other side, and he heals a demon-possessed man. That's crazy. Like, healing a demon-possessed man. That's something only Jesus could do, probably. But he wasn't afraid of all this because he had a plan. He knew that he was going to get to the other side. The storm was just a small hiccup in Jesus' plan. And that's why he calms it with such, just quickly calms it with no effort, because he knew that there was a plan. The storm was just a hiccup. Satan tried to stop Jesus from getting to the other side. And Jesus says, no, I calm the storm and I get to the other side. And I just want to encourage you guys here that Jesus casts out demons. Jesus calms storms. But it's always because he has a plan. And just like your lives may have storms that cause hiccups and cause fear, Jesus still has a plan for you in your life. And there's no storm that will hit your life that Jesus can't calm and continue your life path. Whatever the storm looks like, Jesus can stop it. Jesus can calm the storm because he has a plan for your life. Whatever the plan is, whatever God's plan for your life it is, however, whatever it is, it's Jesus' plan. And there's no storm that can stop that. I feel like this would be a good time to put in that Drake song, God's Plan. You know, I don't know. You guys know it. But God's got a plan for you. God's plan is to prosper your life. God's plan is not to let you stand in fear as the storms knock your boat around. God's got a plan for you. Satan wants that storm to scare you and keep you in fear. But instead, Jesus says to call out to him. He doesn't stay asleep during these storms on the boat. He wakes up when the disciples call to him. So I want to encourage you guys, whether you're in a storm right now, whether it's COVID going on around us or if there's things going on at home, if you're in the middle of a storm, I just want to encourage you to call out to Jesus. I'll say that again, call out to Jesus. Whatever that looks like, call out to Jesus. Sometimes I'm really bad at that. I get that. It's hard. If you're like me, maybe you would have been on that boat with Jesus and been like, hey, Jesus, maybe if you wake up, hey. Like maybe you're like quietly trying to poke Jesus, like quietly wake him up. Like, hey, Jesus, if you want to wake up and, you know, stop the storm, that'd be good, I guess. But no, what we see these disciples do, they are probably running and screaming in the face of Jesus, asking him to wake up and calm the storm. And that's okay. That's what we should do when we're struck with fear or depression or anxiety. We should scream out and run out to Jesus. Because he wants that. He wants us to come to him in those times. So when the storms of life are raging out of control, whether it's anger or depression, or you're hit with anxiety or crippling fear, call out to Jesus. Scream out to Jesus and run, yell, fight out to Jesus to wake him up. Because he's there and he's waiting for you to come to him. He's waiting to calm those storms when you yell out to him. And he wants to calm those storms because he's got a plan for you. Jesus doesn't calm the storms just to show his power, although he could. But Jesus calms the storm to continue his plan. Just like he had a plan to get to the other side of the water in this story and heal this man, these two men who had demons inside of them. Jesus wanted and needed to get to the other side, and he calms the storm for that. So just like he wants to calm the storms in your life, he wants to calm the storm so that you can continue on your life's plan. My second point there is that Jesus has got a plan for you. God's plan, the Drake song is lame, but God's plan is good. God's plan for you is to prosper you. He doesn't want you to be stuck with fear and anxiety and trembling in these storms. So as we live in this weird world of COVID and cancellations, and as we are trying to figure out what we can do now that we are sort of coming out of it, just keep coming to Jesus with it. Come to Jesus. There's a song, it might be a hymn or it's just an old song where it says, sing out to Jesus, come to Jesus, cry out to Jesus. And I just think of that, it may look different for each person, and it may look different for whatever storm hits, whether it's just a calling out to Jesus, or if it's a blood-curdling screaming out to Jesus because you need him to save. He's always there, and he will calm the storms for you, and he wants to calm those storms. So I pray that you guys would just continue to rest in the fact that Jesus is with you. Number one, he is with you. Just like Claire talked about last week, he is with you. He knows what you're going through. He understands the things going on in your life. And number two, he wants you to call out to him. That's a hard thing. I struggle with that. It's a hard thing to push yourself to call out to Jesus. But that's what he wants. He's right there waiting for you to call out to him so he can fix the storm, so he can calm the storms of your life. So I hope that encourages you. Continue to call out to Jesus. And as you hit struggles of your life, know that Claire and I are here for you. Your small group leaders are here for you. They care about you. They also want to help you call out to Jesus. This is a hard thing, and some storms are bigger and scarier than others. But there's people around you that want to help you call out to Jesus. So if you're in a point of fear, I would encourage you to call out to him, but also call out to your small group leaders. Reach out to your friends in this youth group, your parents that care about you so deeply. Reach out to others, because it's easier to call out when there's more people. The story that we read wasn't just one disciple that prodded Jesus. It was all of the disciples on the boat together that called out to Jesus. So it's okay to rely on community as you call out to him. So we love you so much. We miss you all. It's so weird being at home, talking to a screen. Not you guys, even though it'll be on Instagram and you guys watch it. It's weird. I get it. But I just hope that you guys are clinging to Jesus in this time. This weird, unpredictable, never before seen time. I hope you guys are seeing Jesus in new and fresh ways, and that you're continuing to call out to him and move towards him in this time. So we love you. We will look forward to seeing you guys soon in person. We hope you guys are doing great. Reach out to us if you need anything. So we'll see you later.